Trump's address to Congress was the other night, and I didn't watch it because I don't entirely hate myself, but I did catch whiff of some highlights that occurred during his speech. Possibly the biggest highlight was Representative Al Green from Texas interrupting Trump mid-speech and shouting that Trump has no mandate to cut Medicaid, after which Speaker Mike Johnson had him escorted out of House chamber. Al Green was the only Democrat in the chamber that showed any semblance of a spine that night. What most of the other Democrats chose to do in resistance, quote-unquote, that night was to silently wave paddles saying false or save Medicaid or Musk steals, something that viewers would not pick up on because cameras would be on Trump for like 95% of his speech. Yes, I'm sure Trump was very shook. On Thursday, the House voted to censure Al Green for his protest during Trump's speech, and the vote came down to 224 in favor and 198 in opposition to censure him. Every Republican in the House, unsurprisingly, voted to censure him, but 10 Democrats also voted in favor of this. They are Ami Bera of California, Ed Case of Hawaii, Jim Costa of California, Laura Gillen of New York, Jim Hines of Connecticut, Chrissy Houlihan of Pennsylvania, Marcy Kaptur of Ohio, Jared Moskowitz of Florida, Mari Glusenkamp Perez of Washington, and Tom Suozzi of New York. That last one especially puts a stick up my ass because Tom Suozzi represents my district. So yes, after I finish this video, I will be making some phone calls and writing some emails. That's what anyone who is pissed off and lives in any of these districts should be doing at the very least. Anyway, Tom Suozzi also wrote a tweet justifying why he voted in favor of censuring Al Green. I just voted to censure a fellow Democrat in Congress. Instead of focusing on protecting Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, and instead of addressing rising costs, fixing immigration, and Ukraine, too many Americans are talking about a member of Congress being removed from the chamber. This is not helpful. I'm serious about building bipartisan coalitions to tackle these pressing concerns. It's the only way. Both parties must hold themselves to the same standards we expect from the other side. I am angry about plenty that the president is doing in what he said the other night, but the punch-counterpunch is not working. And what the fuck has your counterpunch even been? This entire fucking time Trump has been in office again, most Democrats have been trying to roll over and play nice with the Republicans. Most of your constituency is begging and pleading for this party to finally show some fucking teeth, but instead we get worthless fucking leaders of this party like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries sitting on their hands and saying, well, we don't have the House, the Senate, or the presidency, so what can we even do? And in the official response from Democrats to Trump's speech, he had the same appealing to quote-unquote moderate Republicans that tanked Kamala's campaign. And the woman in the video, I think her name was Slotkin or whatever the fuck, was saying shit like the Republican Party has strayed so far away from good moral men like George Bush and Ronald Reagan. Yeah, and was it fucking moral to invade Iraq under the guise of fighting terrorism, looking for weapons of mass destruction that don't really exist, when this country really just wanted oil and natural resources to give to billionaires and corporations, and duping the people in this country into thinking we were doing something just in the Middle East? And was it moral to turn a blind eye to the AIDS epidemic because it heavily impacted the gay community because it was supposedly God's punishment on them for being gay, even though you don't have to be gay to contract AIDS, or even engage in sex to contract AIDS? Fuck these two evil pieces of shit. Ronald Reagan has been roasting in hell for these last 20 years, and I hope Bush joins him soon. But anyway, who the fuck does this rhetoric appeal to? What is this obsession with courting moderate Republicans who still end up voting for Trump in the end? This is why your base clamors for any semblance of resistance to Trump and the Republican Party, because you don't cater to them at all, and you still preach about bipartisanship like it's fucking 1993, with a fascist in the White House trying to consolidate more power for himself, allowing billionaires, including the literal richest man in the world, meddling in our federal government, so they can consolidate more wealth for themselves and leave the working class with even less. And speaking of that, $880 billion in Medicaid may be slashed, and Tom Suozzi, in his asinine tweet, said, why isn't anyone instead talking about Medicaid? You want to know who was fucking talking about Medicaid? Al Green. Again, when he interrupted Trump's speech, he said, you have no mandate to cut Medicaid. He was the only Democrat in that room who even attempted to stand up for the working class that entire night. And he had all the Democrats sitting around him, not even attempting to show any form of solidarity, not protesting his removal from the chamber, no walking out with him. They were just sitting there with blank expressions on their faces, and this is supposed to be the opposition party? If the counterpunch method is so ineffective, according to you, Swazi, why are so many Democrat voters praising Al Green for what he did, and condemning feckless pieces of shit like you, who are so out of touch with their constituency and preaching about bipartisanship with a political party that is actively destroying our country? And if the counterpunch method is so ineffective, why did Bernie Sanders' response to Trump's address receive over 4 million views, while the official response from the Democratic Party received what, only like 200,000 views? Because no one wants to fucking hear you preach about unity and other tone-deaf shit that does not match the moment we are at in this country at all. While Bernie Sanders will tell you straight up that Trump's administration only serves the billionaire class and wishes to strip even more benefits away from you. So if you actually gave a shit about the plight of your constituency, you would have stood in solidarity with the only guy in that fucking room who actually stood up for the working class that night. And yes, I know, at the end of the day, a censure is nothing more than a slap on the wrist for a congressperson. But it is the principle I am mad at, the principle that a congressperson should be reprimanded for standing up for their fucking constituency. You know, the thing they are theoretically voted in to fucking do. Of course, it is no surprise that Republicans are fucking ghouls, so I fully expected them to vote in favor of censuring Al Green. But fuck these hack Democrats who voted with the Republicans, and fuck this disgrace of a political party in general. In a time where real resistance is needed more than ever, you have these ineffective pieces of shit leading the quote-unquote opposition. What a fucking joke. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.